Good afternoon, nerd friends, and welcome back to the Nerd Bench. Today, we are going to take a look at the WP10Bl60G2. Now, we've seen this before on the channel, but this is the official unboxing video. We're going to pop this guy open. I pre-cut the shrink wrap to cheat. Sorry. Get that guy there. Slide the box open. Slide this guy open, and there we have it. Inside, you get not much. Some mounting tape, there's a little square to do the switch, and your best friend in the whole wide world, the instruction manual. And the reason that everybody likes their instruction manual is because inside here, there is a chart. And it shows you all of the cool things the speed control can do, tells you what all the default settings are, even gives you a rundown on how to do the built-in onboard programming. The WP10Bl60G2 has two ways of tuning it. You can use an LCD or LED program card, you can do the onboard programming, or you can actually use the new LCD program box G2 as well. It doesn't require any tuning out of the box. You can put these in, calibrate them to your radio, and you're good to go. Nothing to worry about there. But there it is, the shiny new speed control in all of its glory. A little bit smaller, a couple millimeters in every direction than the previous generation of this, but not a ton. We get the calipers on there like we always do, just to make sure nothing changed. You got 34, call it 35 on the height, 36 and a half on the width, and the length is going to be about 46, we'll call it. That's a 45.9. It has 14 gauge wire installed. They're 4mm bullet plugs for the motor, and there is no connector installed for the battery pack itself. It has the normal RC car style receiver harness and the on-off switch with the push button that allows you, like I said before, to do either onboard tuning, so you can change the settings of the speed control just using the light and the button. You can use the one of the program cards like this, just reference the instruction manual's chart. Sometimes if you have any of these boxes, it doesn't matter what speed control it's for, it's going to work on the speed control, but the sticker might not match. So if you use your instruction manual's chart, that'll tell you what the numbers mean, because it takes the settings out of the speed control, not from inside of the box. And it also works with the multi-function LCD Program Box Pro, or what we call the LCD Program Box G3. This guy does a select few of the Quicrun G2 speed controls, and this is one of them. Programming, speaking of which, like I said before, you don't need to tune the speed control. It'll work fine on the default settings for 99.9% of the applications that are out there without any tuning, just calibrate it to your radio. But if you do need to, it plugs into the fan port. You don't use the receiver wire. There's a dedicated programming port right here on the side of the speed control. You just unplug the fan and plug that in there. It's marked for orientation. There's a negative, a positive, and a signal wire. The white is the signal wire on your programming. Quick look at the programming here. It does work with the multifunction LCD Program Box Pro. I have it plugged into the programming port on the front correctly. I have it plugged into the ESC side here. I have a battery connected, and I turn the speed control on so that you know, and talk about when you might need to change them. So you fire that guy up, you get into here, and then let's see if I can get this to show up. There we go. Parameters is where the settings are on the speed control. You click that, a little race car runs across the screen, and then you get in there. So running mode, this is where you can turn off the reverse if you wanted to. Some racing, they don't allow reverse, so you can change that there. You can adjust the cutoff voltage of the lipo protection, and it offers that in a couple different ways per cell. And when you want to get into the setting, just to show operation, you push down on this button. When you get to the setting that you want, you push down to select it, and then you hit save to actually put that into the speed control itself. I'm going to put that actually back to default, and then hit save. And then to get out, you hit the back button on the bottom, and you can roll through. So your punch setting is next. This is how quickly the speed control applies the throttle in reference to how quickly you do. If you like a very snappy throttle response, you turn that all the way up. If you like it nice and mellow, you can turn that all the way down. Drag brake force is brakes at neutral. It applies brakes when you let off the throttle. For some high traction situations, people like to have the brakes come on right away. Your max brake force is how strong your push brakes are. When you go to apply the brakes from the radio, you can make those stronger or weaker if you want to. Same for the reverse. You can turn the reverse power up or down. Some folks aren't very good at using the reverse, so leaving that turned down is a little safer. That's why it defaults lower. Neutral range is the deadband. If you got throttle and, like, let's say reverse or brake, that's the zone between that, how wide your neutral is for the speed control to recognize things. So if you have any problems with like the drag brake seem inconsistent, or more so the reverse doesn't want to come all the time, sometimes you need to increase your neutral range because your throttle pot on your radio might be getting a little worn out and it can shift the neutral around a little bit. The speed control does have electronic timing, and this applies the whole time. It's kind of like boost, but it's universal. It adds electronic timing advance to the motor. Reason being is this is a sensorless speed control. That sensorless motors don't have any end bell timing in them, and all motors run a little bit better with some forward timing in them. So it defaults with a little bit of timing turned on. Not enough to make it drastically faster, just enough to make it run a little bit better. And you can turn that up or down so you can get kind of more RPM out of the motor if you want to. It does come at a cost, of course. Nothing is free. More timing means more temperature, less runtime, that sort of thing. Lipo cell set to auto means if you run multiple different battery packs, like a 2-cell or a 3-cell, it'll switch that for you if you only run one or the other. I always recommend setting it to the cells that you run to for safety. And you can reset it to factory default at the end there. So pretty straightforward to use. I love the multifunction LCD Program Box Pro because it works with a wide range of speed controls. The Xerun series as well. It has a battery checker in it, so if you do lipos and stuff like that, you can check your balance and overall voltage. And it does have Bluetooth built into it. It doesn't work on the Quicrun series, but for speed controls that do support the Bluetooth connection, multifunction LCD Program Box Pro supports that. Whoa, instruction manual. Let's talk about the onboard programming. Let's say you've got this, you don't have a programmer, you want to make some of the setting changes. A couple of things that we mentioned to keep in mind is the note here that there's a 1 beep and there's a 5 beep. Short beep equals 1, long beep equals 5. So it'll blink 4 times rapidly for a 4 and 1 long beep for a 5, and it adds those together. So it'll be a long and a short for a 6 because 5 plus 1 is 6. So we're going to get into here and we are going to change the lipo cutoff because that's the most common one that I've talked to people on the phone or we answer emails about. I'm using nickel metal hydrides. How do I turn my how do I turn my lipo protection off? So we're going to go to voltage cutoff. We're going to disable it. It's going to be setting number 2. There are a total of 6 settings available, and we want to get to number 1 that is disabled. So we'll walk through that right now. I am going to unplug this fan so we don't have to listen to it. I got it hooked up to a battery pack. We'll point it up so that we can see the lights here. And you get into programming much like calibration. You hold down the button, you turn the switch on, it'll start to blink. You keep holding it until it gets into the mode lights, which are green. Setting 1, or option 1 rather. Here's option 2, so we let go. And that's going to get us our default. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the default setting at 3 volts per cell. So we tap it once to get to the next setting. That's a long blink for a 5, and it keeps resetting. That's why I'm waiting. Long blink for a 5. One more is a long and a short for a 6. And then one more is a short blink for a 1. And that means my lipo protection is disabled. And to save the setting, all I do is turn it off and setting is saved. So that is the simple onboard programming. It is a little easier when you have a motor hooked up because there's going to be beeps as well. The motor beeps when this is going through this process. I just don't have a motor hooked up, so all we got is the blinks. Calibration is something that the speed control needs to have done, especially on a new build. A lot of times folks get a new speed control, they pop it in, plug everything in, they think it's okay. It's not really okay yet. You have to let the speed control learn the output of your throttle channel. We're going to walk through that process real quickly here. It is connected to a battery pack. I have the speed control plugged into the throttle channel of my receiver, and the orientation is correct. These plugs will fit a lot of the receivers the wrong way, so make sure you check that. I also have a motor connected just so we can hear the beeps as well. My transmitter is turned on, battery pack is plugged in. I'm going to hold down the set button, turn the speed control on. You'll see the lights start to flash. You let go. You then tap the button to set neutral. Hold it at full throttle. Tap the button to set full throttle. Hold it at full reverse. Tap the button. Beeps 3 times, once, twice, 3 times as you go through the process, and then you're good to go. So for operation, you see no light at neutral, and as you apply the throttle, you get a red, and you get to full throttle, you get a green light. The same thing happens in reverse. As you apply the reverse, you get a solid red light, and as you get to full reverse, it'll turn green. This defaults with the reverse turned down, so it's letting us know we're not getting full speed reverse, so it doesn't turn on green. So that's basic calibration. Make sure that before you do anything else, you calibrate your speed control to your radio if there's any sort of issues or operation, or even if it seems like it works fine and you didn't do that process, do that. As you can see, it doesn't come with connectors pre-installed, so that means you're going to be left to your own devices. Maybe a couple pro tips on soldering in general. When you're doing connector installations, make sure that the wire isn't floating in a bubble of solder. We get a lot of problems from shutdowns, stuttering, stuff like that, because the wire, it's soldered on well, but the connection itself isn't that great because the wire isn't all the way through into the metal of the plug. So you'll get like a bubble of solder in there. You'll set these guys together, you'll tack them, and you want to actually push down on the wire to get it all the way through the solder. So something to keep in mind when you're doing your plug install. The other one that I run into all the time is they'll get a speed control with a plug on it, the battery doesn't match, so they use an adapter. Those adapters go bad all of the time. They'll cause anything from vehicles that shut off completely to stuttering to even overheating of plugs and speed controls, because a bad connection is extra resistance, and that means more amps are being used to kind of do nothing except create heat. So just a couple connection tips, because I know a lot of folks are getting a Quicrun for the first time, doing an install on an RTR, and there's a lot in the RC world to keep track of. So, well, there you have it, folks. That is a look at the Quicrun WP10Bl60G2. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, please shoot us an email, northamerica@hobbywing.com. We also do a podcast. It's called RC Stuff, powered by Hobbywing. You can find it on your favorite podcast service. We give away free Hobbywing stuff each and every episode. All you have to do to find out how to enter to win is listen to an episode. And of course, thanks for tuning in. Another episode of The Charlie Show, new every Tuesday, right here on the Hobbywing official YouTube channel. We will see you all next time.